Hello and welcome to Terrific Tuesday. I'm back again. In this edition, we're going to be watching a short video by an author called Brene Brown. Brene Brown has written some amazing books, and if you don't like reading, there are tons of YouTube videos where she speaks about courage and vulnerability. Well worth watching. Most of the videos are far too long for us to put into our Terrific Tuesday. So I've given you a small snippet, and hopefully that's enough to grab you. She's a great speaker, gets your attention straight away, but she has some really good, strong points. So Brene Brown, please enjoy her. Her latest books are The Gift of Imperfection, Daring to Rise, Daring Greatly, and Rising Strong. Well worth a read. In our Excel section today, we're going to be looking at some more text functions. We're going to look at the right, the left, and the mid. Some useful functions that you can use if you want to extract information from the end or the middle or the right of a string of characters. So hopefully you enjoy that. And isn't life getting interesting? Throughout this pandemic, technology has kind of gone in one huge great leap into letting us do things differently. And one of the things that I found particularly interesting this week was something called www.fireflies.ai. And this is an AI meeting assistant. There is a free version that you can use, so go and try it out. But you can attach it to your Zoom meetings and it will actually record the meeting and transcribe it for you. And it's got various other features. So something exciting to have a look at and something to learn. It might be something you could introduce into the workplace as well in your office. That could save you time and increase your productivity, because that's what it's all about, working smarter and not harder. Hope you're all well, hope you're keeping your distance and keeping safe. And I don't have to say keeping warm, because in Joburg we are having a wonderful day today. So till next week, look after yourselves.
Be More, PBS.
We've all experienced the pressure to live up to other people's expectations.
We're going through our lives, in our families, at work, in our communities, believing that we're not enough.
And the feeling of failure when we fall short.
Perfection is this idea or belief that if we look perfect, live perfect, and do it perfectly, that we can avoid or minimize feelings of shame, blame, and judgment.
Dr. Brene Brown is a nationally renowned speaker and researcher who has spent the last 10 years studying connection.
We are cognitively, emotionally, physically, I would argue spiritually, hardwired to experience love and belonging. And when we don't, we break.
She shares her insights into being enough in the gifts of imperfection. Here's Dr. Brene Brown.
So one of the things that we do in our personal lives is we try to combat not being enough by pleasing and performing and perfecting. We go through our lives trying to be who we think we're supposed to be, doing and saying what we think people want to hear, putting on whatever mask or face we think we need to put on for that moment. And what that leaves us is exhausted. When we're pleasing and perfecting and performing, we end up saying yes a lot when we mean no, right? And we also end up saying no when we mean, oh, heck yes, I want to do that. I really want to do that. And you know what? Even though I have a lot of work, I want to do it now. I don't want to do it 5 pounds from now. I don't want to do it when I'm great. I don't want to do it when I've practiced. I just want to do it now. But we don't have those boundaries when we don't feel like we're worthy and enough. I have this ring. I don't know if you can see it. It's got these little spinners on it. And I bought it for my 41st birthday. The one where I aged 21 years in 12 months. And it has spinners. And my whole new thing is when someone asks me to do something now, I spin my ring 3 times before I answer. And it's my boundary ring. And what I say to myself when I'm spinning it is very simple. And it's choose discomfort over resentment. Brené, can you bring 5 dozen cookies to school tomorrow? Nope. What happens when we say, sure, I'll be glad to bring the cookies up to the school? Like, if you know me, you know I'll go right into my very high voice. Sure, I would love to. Peanut free, right? And then what happens is you're home in your kitchen, and your kids want you to be kind and gentle with them, but you're like this. I hate these people. I hate these kids. I hope they choke on my cookie, you know? So how do we do things without resentment, you know? And it takes boundaries. So in the end, I think if we take away anything from the authenticity piece, it is about the courage to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, and to set boundaries. Because the whole idea of I am enough starts with enough. Steve and I, for a long time, had a list of everything we wanted, like our achievement list. Maybe a lake house. Like every other person I know, I want a bigger house with a guest room. No one will ever come. But for some reason, it's just like this draw, right, to have the guest room? Well, when the wholehearted research came out, it fundamentally shifted the way we live, the way we parent, everything. And so we decided to make a list of everything that was happening in our lives when we felt really joyful. Like what's happening, not a want list, but like actually based on evidence, like we're the happiest when what's happening. And we looked at this list, and the list was the opposite of the want list. The want list dictated to us that we needed to work more and make more money, and the joy list meant less work and more time. Here's the part where we all struggle. Worthiness does not have prerequisites. We need to find a way to engage with the world from a place of worthiness. We need to find a way to say, I'm enough. This is who I am. Because I literally believe that our lives depend on it. So thank y'all very much.
Today we're going to have a look at the text functions left, mid, and right. Now, these functions can be very useful when you need to extract information from a string of characters. Now, the example I'm using here is some cell phone numbers. And say we want to break them up so we know who the cell phone provider is, we know a code, and we know an identification number. So we want 082 134 6758. So we want the first three characters, want the middle three characters, and then we want the last four characters. How can we split this easily? Now remember, this can be any amount of characters, spaces, whatever, dependent on the data that you are actually working with. So if I click on my formulas tab, you can see in my function library, I have something here called text. And if I click on that, text gives me a whole lot of text functions that I can use in Excel. What I'm going to do now is I've got my cursor in G8, and I want to bring back the first three numbers of the string of numbers. So that's easy enough because it's from the left. So there's a function called left. If I say equals, remember equals always tells Excel that I'm starting a function, and I type in the words left, and I press tab to start the function. You can see it brings up the instructions for me underneath it, and it says, right, for left, I need the text, and then I need the number of characters. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show this is the text that you need to be looking at, okay? I'm going to put in a comma. Remember, you must check your machine because you can either have a comma or a semicolon, depending on how your keyboard is set up. And it says to me, how many characters would you like to return? And I say, I only want the first three. So I'm going to say 3. I can close my bracket to show Excel that I have completed the function, and I press enter. And it only brings back the first 3 characters. Now for the middle one, I want to bring back 1, 3, 4 into the middle. So for that, Excel has a function called mid. So once again, I'm going to say equals to show Excel that I'm starting a function. I'm going to start the function name called mid, and I'm going to tab in order to start the function. Now, you can see once again it's brought up the instructions for me. So mid needs text, a comma, it needs start number, a comma, and then the number of characters. So the first thing I need to do is show it where's the text. So there's my text where I want to find the information, and I'm going to press comma because I have shown you what the first argument is that you are looking for. My next one says, what is the start number? From what number, because it's a middle function, from what number must I start counting? So in our case, it would be 4 because we want from the 4th character. So I'm going to say 4, and I'm going to say comma because I have given it its second argument, the second thing that it needs. The last thing it needs is number of characters. How many characters must it return? And we only want it to return 3 characters. I'm going to close my bracket because that shows Excel I have now completed my function, and I press enter, and it only brings back 1, 3, 4. Now, to get the last 4 numbers extracted from the string of numbers, I can use the right function. Now, the right function works similar to your left and your mid. I want to work from the end of the line, and I want to count backwards. So I'm going to say equals, because I want to show Excel that I'm starting a function. I want to say right, because that is the function I need to use, and I press tab. Tab opens up the bracket for me to start my function. It also gives me instructions. It says, where's the text and how many characters must I bring back? So I say, fine, here is the text, and I highlight my number. I put in a comma, and I say I want to bring back 4 characters. I close my bracket to show that I have finished my function, and I press enter. And it brings back 6, 7, 8. Now this is really quick and easy, and sometimes we type, maybe it's a string of names, and we put Mr. or Mrs. in, or whatever the case is, and we need to take it out, or there's just some number that we need to remove from a specific code or whatever. Rather than sitting and do it manually, remember you have a left, a mid, and a right. I can pick this up now, and I can scroll it down, and it will apply the functions to the rest of my screen. Now remember, once again, as I said in the previous video, yeah, it goes quickly, and you think, oh well, it's only 3 numbers. Doesn't matter how many numbers you've got. If you've got a full database, it will do it for you in a second. Hope you get to use left, middle, right. Truly a great function to use.